Discover the heartwarming journey of a 72-year-old wife's incredible transformation after tragedy. Margaret sat alone in her quaint Maplewood home, the silence hanging thick like morning fog. Her gray hair framed her face, a testament to a lifetime of laughter and love. Decades spent caring for her husband, a beloved local veteran, had filled this house with warmth and joy. Now, after his sudden passing, the walls echoed with memories that felt like shadows. Where laughter once rang, there was only emptiness. She felt lost, an anchorless ship adrift in a turbulent sea of grief. As Thanksgiving approached, the townsfolk rallied around her, their communal spirit shining bright through their acts of kindness. Martha, her neighbor, brought over steaming casseroles, while young Billy offered to rake leaves, reminiscing about the days when her husband taught him about bravery and loyalty. Each gesture was a tender reminder of family ties that flourished in Maplewood. Yet, nestled inside these warm encounters was a bittersweet pang. This support only magnified her loneliness without the man who had shared everything with her. One dreary afternoon, while clearing out a closet, her eye caught a glimpse of something tucked away. Dust fluttered with every turn as she retrieved her old easel and neglected paintbrushes, memories flooding back of long-lost dreams her husband had so lovingly encouraged her to chase. Could she truly dare to paint after all these years? Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear, wondering if the townspeople would still embrace her not just as a widow, but as an artist. When news of an art competition spread through Maplewood, her heart skipped. A cash prize and a chance to share my art, she thought, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. But the whispers that followed were like gusty winds pressing against her sails. Was it too late for her to shine? Would the town see her as just a grieving woman, or could she still be more? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her hands trembled as she picked up the paintbrush, each stroke carrying the weight of memory, his gentle laughter, their quiet evenings, and the dreams they had shared. The joy of painting was colored with threads of guilt, evoking the darkness of self-doubt that had plagued her for far too long. Just as she found the courage to express herself, a conversation with spirited young Ellie, a painter struggling with her own insecurities, plunged her into deeper reflection. As Margaret prepared for the competition day, she felt the gaze of the entire town on her, but not just in judgment, there was support, too. A shared history of resilience lingered in the air. Just as she was going to unveil her work, a voice from the back challenged her, questioning her place among the artists. The room went still. In that harrowing moment, Margaret understood this journey was bigger than herself. It represented the dreams of others silenced by age, grief, and judgment. She opened her mouth, heart pounding, ready to reclaim her voice. The audience leaned in, holding their breath, waiting for her words. Would she take a stand, not just for herself, but for every weary soul yearning for their opportunity to shine? Margaret's heart raced, the silence pressing in like a heavy blanket. She could see familiar faces in the crowd, each one a reminder of her past happiness, laced with a thread of fear. Taking a deep breath, she felt the weight of her paintbrush in her hand, a familiar comfort despite the unsettling tension in the air. "Thank you for being here today," she finally spoke, her voice quivering at first but gaining strength with each word. "I stand before you not just as a grieving widow, but as a woman who has rediscovered her passion, a passion that has been waiting patiently, just like I have, for this moment." The murmurs rippled through the crowd, and she sensed an array of emotions: curiosity, empathy, hope. Some in Maplewood knew her story intimately. They had witnessed her journey, her loss. Yet Margaret also saw skepticism lurking in a few eyes. It was time to draw from the well of courage she had long hidden. Her mind darted back to the night her husband had whispered, "You must paint, Margie. You have so many stories inside you." Those words were like sunlight piercing through clouded skies. She could almost hear him urging her now, his voice a gentle push. "I may have lost my husband, the love of my life," she continued, but I refuse to let grief define me. This canvas is a part of my journey, and while it may take time for joy to bloom again, I promise I will honor his memory by living fully and sharing the colors of my heart with all of you. A few heads turned, eyes widening. In that moment, something sparked a hope that perhaps her thoughts were echoing the silent fears and aspirations of others. It dawned on her that she was not alone in her struggle. Perhaps there were souls here today, both young and old, yearning to break free from their own shackles of disappointment or loss. Margaret stepped forward, suddenly emboldened. If I can find the courage to paint again, maybe it's time for all of us to step into the light, to paint our own dreams, no matter how faded they may seem. A low murmur ran through the audience, a shifting tide of understanding and warmth. Margaret felt a swell of community as their gazes softened, reflecting a thread of empathy and recognition. Today isn't just about me or this painting, she said, smiling now as courage began to cleanse her fear. It's about us all reclaiming our stories. Let us support one another in creating, whether through art, music, or the simple beauty of life. As the crowd began to stir, visibly moved, Margaret remembered the handful of brush strokes still waiting to be made on her canvas. She turned to unveil her painting, the moment she had spent countless hours laboring over. It was vibrant and soothing, each color a testament to her journey of love and loss. Beneath her canvas was written a simple phrase, rediscovering the heart. Applause began to rise, hesitant at first, but quickly growing into a wave of encouragement. As she basked in this unfamiliar warmth, Margaret realized the power of vulnerability not just for herself, but for the collective heart's yearning for expression. The whispers of doubt had been transformed into shouts of support. The noise of celebration filled the gallery. One question echoed in Margaret's mind: what else could she uncover within herself? What other dreams had waited in the shadows of her heart? Little did she know, a new chapter of her life was just beginning, one that would challenge everything she thought she knew about her identity. The applause faded, but the warmth lingered in the air like the scent of fresh paint. A few people approached her, their smiles genuine and their eyes gleaming with newfound hope. Lisa, an old friend from high school, stepped forward first. "Margaret," she said, her voice layered with emotion, "I can't believe how beautiful that painting is. You've always had a gift." She paused, wiping away a tear. "I never realized how much the world needed to see it." Margaret's heart swelled. "Thank you, Lisa. It means so much to me that you're here." Each compliment she received felt like a tiny brushstroke adding depth to her self-portrait. Words floated around her, and she took them in eagerly, drawing strength from her community. Yet, amidst the joyous greetings and heartfelt exchanges, a flicker of doubt darted through her mind. What if she couldn't keep this momentum going? The thought chilled her, grounding her momentarily. She shook her head, focusing back on the present. For now, she was surrounded by warmth and acceptance, and that was enough. The crowd slowly dispersed, some headed for refreshments, while others lingered to admire her painting. Margaret stepped back, allowing herself to breathe. The painting, pulsating with colors, felt like an extension of herself, an invitation for others to step into her world. A child, no more than 7, approached the canvas. He squinted, tilting his head. "Why did you paint it?" he asked, curiosity in his big eyes. Margaret knelt to meet his gaze. "Because I wanted to show that even after something sad, we can find colors in our hearts again. We can share our stories, just like you can share your drawings." He smiled, visibly moved. "I want to paint like that when I grow up." Margaret's smile broadened. "Then you should. Always follow your dreams." As he ran back to his parents, her heart fluttered with a mixture of joy and responsibility. She wanted to inspire others, especially the next generation. Suddenly, she felt a faint tap on her shoulder. It was Mrs. Jenkins, the town's beloved librarian. "Margaret, dear," she said, clutching her hands together, "I was wondering if maybe you could lead a painting workshop at the library? I think so many people could benefit from your story and talent." The idea sent a rush of warmth through her. Just the thought of sharing what she had learned ignited a spark. "I'd love to, Mrs. Jenkins. That sounds wonderful." As they chatted about details, Margaret felt a bloom of excitement. This was an opportunity to connect, to reach out, to create a community of artists even if they were just starting. Suddenly, Her mind raced with possibilities. She could host sessions that focused on different themes, sharing joy, grief, overcoming challenges. Those bullet points filled her heart like vibrant strokes on a blank canvas. Yet, even as she thrived on the possibilities, an unwelcome thought crept back in. Would she be able to sustain this momentum? Would the fear of failure swallow her alive? Before she could spiral down that dark tunnel of doubt, a small voice whispered back, her husband's voice. "You have so many stories inside you." She took a deep breath, banishing the fears as she felt determination spring to life. The day was brightening, and so was her spirit. As Margaret exchanged contact information with Mrs. Jenkins, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something profound. But lurking beneath the excitement was an unanswered question, one that danced in her mind like sunlight. What would happen when she began to uncover her past stories? Would they heal her completely, or would they reveal an even deeper layer of grief and joy? Only time would tell, and with that, another adventure awaited. Margaret stood among the remnants of the gallery, feeling the buzz of excitement lifting her spirit. The sunlight filtered through the windows, casting warm spots on the wooden floor, as if nature herself was applauding her moment. Each lingering laugh, each soft whisper, only fueled the fire ignited by Lisa's compliment. She might have felt nervous about the workshop, but right then, she was riding a wave of encouragement. The thought of leading a class filled her with a mix of thrill and apprehension. What if no one showed up? Or worse, what if they did, and she faltered in her teaching? Shaking those thoughts off, she strolled over to her painting, the vibrant colors almost singing to her. "It's okay to be scared," she whispered to herself. "You've always been afraid of stepping out. But look at you now." As she examined the piece, caught in a dance of light and shade, she recalled the times she kept her art tucked away, hidden from the world. Once, those fears felt insurmountable, a heavy veil she wore too tightly. Now, she felt lighter. Each brushstroke on the canvas echoed back stories she had buried for years, some joyful, some laced with sorrow. With this workshop, she could not only inspire, but also bring those feelings to the surface for herself. Would sharing her past help others heal too? A small voice in her heart answered affirmatively. Days rolled into each other as she prepared for the workshop. Details sprawled on her kitchen table, papers crinkled with sketches and color plans. And just like that, her life morphed from mundane routines into vibrant creativity. The aroma of coffee filled the air each morning, each sip fueling her excitement and nervous energy. But with every preparation, unease nudged at her positivity. What would happen when she finally stood in front of that group? She envisioned the faces staring back, some eager, some doubtful, just like she used to be. Margaret feared she might crumble under their expectations. One evening, as she pondered these thoughts, her husband Daniel settled next to her on the couch, noticing the furrowed line on her brow. "What is eating you?" he asked, brushing his fingers through her hair. "I'm worried," she confessed with a sigh. "What if I can't inspire them the way I want? What if it all goes wrong?" He squeezed her hand softly, holding her gaze. "You've already inspired me, Margaret. Just be yourself and share your journey. That is more than enough." His words wrapped around her like a warm hug, and she couldn't help but smile. Maybe he was right. Maybe all it took was honesty and heart to touch others. The day of the workshop arrived, the air humming with anticipation. She arrived at the library early, paced the room, and set out easels like stepping stones to creativity. Each stroke of her brush would weave a new story, filled with experiences that shaped her. As the first faces trickled in, she felt her stomach twist. Familiar, hesitant smiles greeted her, reminiscent of her own when she first stepped into art. With every participant that entered, her heart ached a little more with hope. She was not just here to teach. She was part of something larger, a community seeking expression. When the clock struck the hour, Margaret took a deep breath, confidence tingle running through her. Looking up into the crowd, she began, "Thank you all for being here. Today, I want us not just to paint, but to share. We each have stories, and they deserve to color the world." But just as her words began to flow, she caught a glimpse of a familiar face in the back. Her breath caught. Was that Anna? The memories rushed back, each more vivid than the last. Questions bloomed in her mind. Why was she here? What did this mean for her workshop? Margaret's heart drummed loudly against her chest, propelling her forward into uncharted emotional territory. Margaret's voice faltered for a moment as her eyes locked onto Anna. The woman who had once been her closest friend seemed as much a ghost as a memory woven tightly into the fabric of her past, and yet so distant. The years had changed them both. Anna, once vibrant and energetic, now appeared smaller, her hair streaked with gray, and the contours of her face lined with stories Margaret couldn't decipher. Today is about opening up, she reminded herself, clawing back her composure. With each breath, she focused on the room, on the other participants' expectant faces. Let us create spaces where our stories can thrive, Margaret continued, her tone wavering but warm. She pointed toward a canvas and asked everyone to think of a moment that defined their story. A flurry of brushes stirred to life around her, colors merging and overlapping like the tangled lives of the workshop attendees. Yet, her gaze kept flickering back to Anna. The knot in her stomach twisted tighter. Would she speak? Would she share the past they could no longer discuss? As the participants painted, whispers and laughter broke through Margaret's focus, creating a soundscape of initial hesitation settling into comfortable camaraderie. Someone shared their excitement about colors mixing. It's like finding new ways to express emotion. And it struck Margaret how vital these threads of connection were. But still, her heart yearned for Anna's voice. Every second that ticked by felt like a fragile leaf caught in a breeze. Just then, Anna slowly raised her paintbrush, hesitantly dipping it into the ochre paint, her movement tentative yet deliberate. Margaret. Anna's voice wavered like the first sign of spring thawing winter's chill. All heads turned toward her, eyes wide with curiosity. It's been a long time. The simple acknowledgement, laden with unspoken feelings, shot through Margaret. With the flick of Anna's brush, memories crashed over her like waves, their laughter, shared dreams, and the heartbreaking end of their friendship after the tragedy that tested them. She could feel the room stand still, each person waiting, holding their breath in a moment that felt both personal and universal. I didn't expect to see you here, Margaret managed, her throat tightening. After everything, yes. After everything. Anna's eyes glistened as she wrestled with her words. I needed this. I've missed this. I've missed you, Margaret. The emotional weight of the moment pressed down on her, a shimmering blend of hope and pain. She could feel the walls they had built around their hearts trembling, threatening to collapse. Margaret took a cautious step toward Anna. We can paint together. It's our canvas today. As they dipped their brushes into the paint, sharing strokes, the distance between them began to melt away, exposing the rawness that had long lingered. Margaret could see a fragile thread of understanding weaving back together their past. Remember when we used to dream about opening a gallery together? Anna asked, the corners of her lips curling into a faint smile. Yeah, Margaret laughed, almost breathless. I thought it was just a silly dream. It wasn't silly. We believed in our art together. The emotion hung heavy in the air around them. In that fleeting moment, each brushstroke on the canvas, like an unspoken apology, their eyes spoke of everything left unsaid. They both realized they had woven artistic tapestries from the threads of their joys and griefs. But as reality began to seep back in, Margaret felt a wave of uncertainty rise again. Would they be able to heal? Could they bridge the chasm rendered by time and loss? Looking around, she noticed the participants eagerly immersed in their colorful expressions, but for her, the vividness faded momentarily. What if they couldn't mend the rift? What if Anna's presence today stirred feelings too deep to navigate? Margaret's heart raced. The workshop was taking a turn she hadn't anticipated, and the path forward felt daunting yet unmissable. Could they truly reconnect in this space they had once envisioned so long ago? Or would old wounds linger, stopping them from embracing the possibility of renewal? Margaret watched Anna dip her brush into the paint again, a deeper shade this time. It was as if each color represented a different part of the conversation. They needed to have a spectrum of emotions waiting to be unlocked. The atmosphere shifted. The whispers around them blended into a comforting hum, a steady reminder that they weren't alone in this moment. Sometimes I forget how good it feels to create, Anna said softly, her voice mingling with the sounds of canvas and laughter. It's been years since I've picked up a brush. I didn't know if I could. You can, Margaret encouraged, surprised by the warmth in her own voice. Just paint what you feel. With the weight of years and a shared history between them, Each stroke on the canvas felt like a tiny step forward. Margaret could see Anna's hesitation start to fade. The shared intensity of their past stirred a mixture of fear and excitement. Do you remember our art classes at the community center? How we used to joke that we make the worst art. But we had so much fun. Anna paused, letting a laugh unfold. It was a glimmer of the woman Margaret used to know, full of life and mischief. Of course I remember. You claimed you could do swirls like Van Gogh, and it ended up looking like a tornado. Margaret laughed, feeling a lightness she hadn't felt in so long. Anna's laughter faded into a soft smile. And you were always there, painting wildflowers that turned into abstract blobs by the end. But you always saw beauty in it. That's what friends are for, right? Margaret took a deep breath, steeling herself. We really did have something special back then. That's why I've missed you, Anna said, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought I had lost you for good. Margaret's heart ached. She wanted to reach out, to take Anna's hand, to bridge that painful isolation that had grown between them. Yet a part of her hesitated, worried about reopening old wounds. We lost so much, Anna. I wasn't sure you'd want to let me back in. Their eyes locked briefly, and Margaret saw the flickering shadows of sorrow and pain, but also the beginnings of something brighter. Maybe it's time to let those shadows go, Anna replied, painting a bright yellow sun in the corner of her canvas. Maybe it's time to forgive ourselves. The room around them buzzed with creativity, but in their small world, everything else faded away. Each brushstroke felt like a promise the potential for something new. Margaret felt the tightening in her chest loosening just a bit. You're right. We can start fresh. As they exchanged colors, thoughts poured out like paint. Anna began sharing stories of her life since they drifted apart. There was loss, yes, but also moments of unexpected joy. Margaret listened, her heart swelling with empathy. I started an art journal after Anna said, her voice trembling. It helped. It didn't solve everything, but it didn't let me forget either. It felt cathartic. A healing journey, Margaret mused, inspired. We could write our own story through art together. Anna gazed back, hope glimmering between them. We can do more than that. Let us actually open that gallery. The proposal hung between them, electrifying and terrifying. Would they dare to dream again? Something deep in Margaret's chest ignited. This could be a turning point. Yes, let us. Imagine the laughter, the colors. Yet just as light broke through, a memory clouded Margaret's vision. She felt something pull at her heart. But what about the mistakes we made? The hurt. We handle it together. Anna took a step closer, her sincerity palpable. We owe it to ourselves. Margaret's pulse quickened. The prospect of working with Anna again, facing the past together, was exhilarating but daunting. Could this really lead to healing? Let us take it one day at a time, Anna said, uncertainty cooling the spark. We don't have to rush. Margaret nodded, but a question loomed over them like a shadow. Would the ghosts of their past hold them back, or could they fill the canvas of their lives with vibrant colors yet to be discovered? They painted, side by side, as laughter and heartfelt words wrapped around them like fresh paint on a canvas. A corner of the room came alive with energy, their possibilities expanded. But doubt lingered just beneath the surface, threatening to disrupt the fragile connection they were starting to rebuild. What if this renewal faltered, swept away in the currents of their shared history? Would they have the strength to overcome the unspoken truths still binding them? Margaret dipped her brush in a bold red, the fear transforming into resolve. This was just the beginning to the group around them continued to create. Margaret sensed that the next brushstroke held the weight of fate, the question of whether they could truly begin again. The brush in Anna's hand wavered as she applied the red, like a heartbeat against the canvas. Each color began to meld together, as if they were stitching the ripped fabric of their shared story. The gentle hum of creativity turned into a symphony of emotions, both exhilarating and frightening. Can you imagine it? Margaret said dreamily, excitement bubbling in her voice. A gallery where we showcase not just the art, but our story, everything we've been through? Anna nodded, her eyes alight with possibilities. It would be a celebration of resilience, of the art and the artists behind it. But as they spoke of the gallery, a creeping doubt returned, lingering just out of sight. Margaret's fingers tightened around her paintbrush, the memory of their fracture resurfacing. What if people don't understand us? What if our past decisions overshadow our present? Then we let our art speak for us, Anna countered, her voice steady. Art doesn't shy away from truth. It confronts it. Margaret took a moment to soak in Anna's resolve. She knew that this journey wouldn't merely be about painting or opening a gallery. It was about confronting their shared past, their regrets and fears. You're so strong, Anna. But I don't know if I have that strength anymore. Strength isn't an absence of fear, Anna reminded her gently, deep understanding shining through her eyes. It's the willingness to act despite it. We owe it to ourselves to try. Margaret's heart raced as she poured a swirl of blue onto her palette. The color reached out, tempting her to embrace the dream. You're right, she admitted, a hint of determination creeping in. But it feels like we're standing at the edge of a cliff. What if we fall? Then we pick each other up, Anna replied, her expression firm. Together, we must believe that every fall can lead to something beautiful. Margaret inhaled deeply, a wave of warmth washing over her. Anna's faith was a lifeline that pulled her closer to possibility. The rough edges of their past were not gone, but blended with the vibrant colors of hope and connection. Maybe they could redefine their story as the two friends continued to paint, the room filled with splashes of color. Laughter floated around them, mingling with shared stories, transforming their shared history into something new. They were alchemists, mixing emotions and memories to create a brighter future. Suddenly, Margaret felt a gentle tug at her heart. She laid down her brush and turned to Anna. I want to make sure we're both in this together. No secrets. No holding back. Anna's steady gaze met hers. Absolutely. We've hidden behind our fears for too long. It's time to trust again. Trust ourselves. With each brush stroke, they painted more than mere images. They crafted a map of their journey, revealing intimate layers of their lives. Though anxiety threatened to seep back in, every color on the canvas reminded them of the power of seeking solace together. But as the colorful scene began to take shape on their canvases, an unexpected voice broke through. The workshop leader, a woman in her 50s, approached. You two really found your rhythm. What is the story behind your pieces? Margaret felt her pulse quicken, a rush of vulnerability flooding her. She had wanted to keep their art private, but Anna stepped in smoothly. We're opening a gallery, Anna said, pride shining in her voice. And this is just the beginning. The workshop leader's eyes widened, lighting up with excitement. That's incredible. You both must tell the world your story. It's so refreshing. As the words pierced through Margaret's doubts, she felt a sudden surge of courage. We will, she said, her voice solid. But first, we need to continue painting our truths. Yet, as the afternoon light began to fade, Margaret couldn't shake a lingering question: were they truly ready to lay bare their lives for everyone to see? The gallery loomed ahead, a tantalizing dream filled with hope and doubt. And as they picked up their brushes once more, each stroke carried the weight of their impending decision. Would they be brave enough to unveil their journey to the world? Margaret gazed at the resurgent colors on her canvas, feeling their vibrancy transform into a swirling storm within her. This was not just art. This was life, unfolding with all its complexities. But what if the clarity they were reaching for became too difficult to unveil? Anna's brush dipped into a pool of deep green, the color rich and inviting. She felt it pull her closer to the moment, away from lingering fears and shadows of the past. With each stroke, she could see their story taking form, a lush landscape of shared laughter, pain, and healing. She looked over at Margaret, who was now fully engrossed in her own colorful creation, a vibrant explosion that seemed to mirror both anxiety and excitement. Look at this, Margaret said, her voice eager, as she stepped back to admire her work. I can't believe how alive it feels. It's like all my worries are swirling together and bursting out in color. Exactly, Anna replied, her heart swelling with pride for her friend. You're channeling everything. This is our truth, unleashed. Yet as laughter escaped Anna's lips, it felt fragile, like a bubble that might burst at any moment. The workshop leader's encouragement echoed in her mind, a reminder that their truths soon would be laid bare to the world. What if the world wasn't ready? As if sensing her turmoil, Margaret paused, her expression shifting. What is going on in that brilliant head of yours? She asked, a soft concern dancing in her voice. Anna inhaled sharply. What if we put ourselves out there, and all we receive is judgment? What if they just don't get it? Margaret's brow furrowed, but then she smiled gently. Anna, remember our mantra? Art is vulnerability. We can't control how others perceive us, but we can control how we express ourselves. Isn't that the real strength? The weight of those words sank into Anna's heart. Yes, they made mistakes. Yes, everything hadn't always been perfect. But this wasn't about perfection. It was about authenticity. It was about being seen. Taking a deep breath, she whispered, "You're right. It's about showing the world the real us, flaws and all." With renewed energy, Anna's brush danced across the canvas again, leaving vibrant trails of green. She could almost feel the laughter of joyous memories, the warmth of summer days, and the bittersweet sweetness of shared tears weaving together in their art. But just as she hit her stride, the workshop leader returned, her presence a blend of excitement and curiosity. "I can't help but ask again, what's the core of your art? What do you want people to feel when they see it?" Margaret glanced at Anna, the question hanging between them. We want them to feel hope," she replied, her voice steadier than Anna had expected. "We've been through a lot, and this is us reclaiming our voices. Hope is something everyone can relate to," the leader said, nodding approvingly. "Keep that at the forefront. Your art can spark conversations." As those words settled, Anna felt a shiver of anticipation. They weren't merely creating art. They were laying foundations for a conversation, a bridge between their past and future. Margaret looked at Anna, her eyes glittering with excitement. "Can you believe it? We're not just telling our story, we're inviting others to share theirs, too." Anna smiled, though an underlying tremor of fear still tugged at her. But what if our story isn't enough? Before Margaret could respond, the workshop leader chimed in. "Each person's story is enough. The beauty lies in the truth behind it. Just remember, you'll be surprised how many hearts your journey will touch." With renewed resolve, Anna nodded. She believed in what they were doing. It would be an act of courage. Art could break barriers. As the light dimmed further, the atmosphere thickened with unspoken challenges and dreams. They were on the verge of something truly important, but it was still shrouded in uncertainty. Would their bravery translate into a message strong enough to resonate beyond the walls of the gallery? Anna's heart raced in anticipation, knowing they were on the cusp of a revelation that could forever change how they viewed their past. What awaited them in the shadows? Would it be comfort or chaos? As their brushes slid across the canvas, forging a vibrant future, a dread hung in the air like a sweet perfume, a reminder that their journey had only just begun. Would they have the courage to face what lay ahead? As the workshop enveloped them, the sounds of brushes on canvas began to create a rhythm more profound than the nervous heartbeat that echoed in Anna's chest. Lost in the texture of paint and the dynamic energy between colors, she felt a strange blend of anticipation and fear. It was intoxicating. Each stroke pushed her doubts further away, allowing her to breathe, to exist in the moment. Margaret tilted her head, studying Anna as if trying to decipher a hidden code in her expression. "You're okay, right?" she asked softly, a mix of concern and compassion in her voice. "Yeah, I'm just thinking," Anna replied, wiping her paint-smeared hands on her apron, attempting to mask the whirlwind in her mind. "Maybe we need to push a little harder," Margaret suggested, turning back to her canvas with renewed vigor. "What if we went bold? I mean, really bold. What about that?" She picked up a bright orange, swirling it into her sea of colors. "Like diving headfirst into the chaos?" Anna laughed despite herself. "Exactly." Margaret grinned. "Let us unleash everything we've been holding in. What if we painted not just our stories, but every emotion we've felt?" It was a radical thought. Yet as Margaret packed layers of color onto the canvas, Anna could feel a heat rising inside her. Could they truly capture the messy reality of life? The joy intertwined with pain, the laughter dipped in tears? They continued painting, but this time it was more than just strokes on a canvas. It was a conversation between old friends, battling with memories and aspirations. Anna grappled with long-buried feelings, betrayal, hurt, and all the times she felt invisible. She splashed deep reds and moody blues against her canvas, the colors so intense they felt like pressure valves releasing pent-up emotions. Then, in the quiet of shared creativity, Anna looked over at Margaret. Do you ever wonder if people will really get it? If they will see past the surface? Her voice was barely above a whisper. Margaret stopped and turned to her, eyes wide with sincerity. What's important is how we see it. Just being real is a start. If we express ourselves genuinely, maybe they 1T have to get it, maybe they LL, just feel it. Anna nodded slowly, feeling a smile tug at her lips. There was something so liberating in being vulnerable. Painting felt therapeutic, as if it was a path away from their past and toward an unknown future filled with potential. Time slipped away as they finally laid down the final layers. The class around them buzzed with energy, yet they remained pulled into their own sanctuary, side by side amidst the chaos of color and emotion. Are you ready for this? She asked suddenly, her hand hovering over the last corner of her canvas, poised like a pivot point. Are we ever completely ready? Margaret chuckled softly, but Anna could see the truth lurking in her eyes. They were preparing to unveil themselves in ways they had never done before. Think about it, Anna murmured. This is us saying, hear us our truth. What if it opens up a floodgate? A flicker of doubt crossed Margaret's features, but it was quickly replaced with determination. Then let it. Let us drown in the flood together. As they exchanged glances filled with unspoken commitment, a hush fell over the schoolroom, the leader returning to survey their progress. Anna's breath hitched. What if they failed? What if they were misunderstood? Ready to share? The leader's voice cut through the thick air, and Anna's stomach twisted tight with anticipation. Yeah, I think so, Margaret replied, her voice steady despite the tremor in Anna's heart. As they stood to begin the unveiling, Anna felt gravity tugging at her heart, tearing her away from the safety of their private world. The air fizzled with uncertainty, and as they faced the group, Anna couldn't shake the question that danced in her mind. Would their stories resonate or fade into the background, like echoes swallowed by the walls around them? In this moment, as revelation hung on the edge of their brushes, Anna realized something crucial. They were about to leap into the unknown, where art and heart intertwined, where vulnerability and strength could forge something remarkable. And just as she took a step forward, she wondered if, in this leap, everything they aimed for might finally come alive. What awaited them on the other side of their bravery? Would it change everything? The moment hung in the air heavy, charged with anticipation. Anna could feel every heartbeat pulsating around her, each one mirroring the flutter in her chest. She locked eyes with Margaret, a shared unspoken determination igniting between them. It was time to step out from the shadows of doubt, into the brilliant light of their own story. With the workshop leader nodding encouragingly, Anna took a deep breath, her voice catching slightly. We've spent so much time hiding from ourselves, from our pasts. Today, we want to share what we've created and why it means so much to us. Margaret nodded, squeezing Anna's hand. This isn't just about our art. It's about healing, connection, and having the courage to dive into every color of our lives because life isn't perfect. She turned to the audience, a gentle smile breaking through her nerves. It's messy, it's beautiful, and it's all ours. As the crowd leaned in, Anna felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her. When I dipped my brush into the red, she began, her voice steadying, it was more than just paint. It represented all the joy, all the hurt, and all the moments I never expressed. She gestured toward her vibrant canvas, each stroke reflecting their shared journey. Margaret stepped closer, her eyes radiating sincerity. And in painting these pieces together, we are rediscovering not only our love for art, but also our friendship, the beauty of rekindling a connection we thought was lost. A murmur of understanding swept through the audience. Their words were like a bridge, drawing people closer, weaving invisible threads of shared experiences with invisible scars. Anna's heart raced as the workshop leader spoke up. You both have created a space that speaks of resilience. I think that's what art should do. It should invite others to join our stories. The crowd seemed to settle deeper in their seats, ready to listen, ready to connect. Feeling an urge to share further, Anna continued. Every time we pick up a brush, it gives us a chance to express what's inside. This gallery we dream of, it will showcase not just our art, but a reminder for all of us that it's never too late to redefine who we are and what we want. An older woman at the back nodded, her eyes shining with tears. You have no idea how deeply this resonates. You are giving us all hope." The warmth of shared emotion rippled through the room, rekindling connections that might have felt buried under layers of grief and regret. Margaret's smile widened. "Art is a language we all speak. Let's create a community where we appreciate one another's stories, where we lift each other up and inspire each other to reclaim our dreams." With each word they exchanged, the air felt lighter, as if each layer of anxiety was being peeled away. Anna could see it, a glow starting to form among the attendees. They were awakening, ready to create and connect, just as she and Margaret had. "Now, let us reveal our paintings," Anna announced, heart racing with excitement. Margaret's hands trembled slightly as she began to pull the cloth from her canvas, revealing the vibrant work beneath, colors bold and bright, swirling together in a stunning depiction of their journey. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath, and Anna's heart soared. Then, it was Anna's turn. She unveiled her piece, full of raw, vibrant colors that depicted both vibrance and chaos. As silence filled the air, breaths came to a standstill for a brief second, before a wave of applause erupted. The response enveloped them like a warm blanket. People leaned forward, faces aglow with inspiration. The connections formed transcended the canvas. They were reaching for something deeper, something all too relatable, the common thread of humanity connecting them all. Margaret turned to Anna, her face radiant with joy. "We did this together." And in that moment, under the warmth of shared dreams and hopes, they embraced. As they pulled away, Anna felt a sense of transformation. Things would no longer be the same. They would stand together, as artists, as friends, and they would inspire others to paint their own stories too. The community conversation sparked around them like fireworks, with voices echoing thoughts of courage, love, and creativity. In that moment, Anna understood the beauty of taking that leap, a leap into vulnerability, into friendship renewed, and into a greater purpose. Just as the workshop began to wind down, the workshop leader proposed, "What if we all meet again to share our stories and our art? Together we could create something truly beautiful." A chorus of agreement rang out. Anna felt teetering on the edge of a brand new journey, filled with possibility and excitement. "Yes," one voice exclaimed, and she knew it was the beginning of something profound. In the heart of Maplewood, Margaret and Anna had transformed grief into color, pain into purpose, and isolation into a community of artists ready to share their truth. In that moment, surrounded by the changes they sparked, they realized art heals, friendship endures, and every story deserves to be shared. And as she reflected on their journey, Anna smiled with newfound hope. Each brushstroke symbolized stepping away from loss and stepping into a life filled with vibrant colors, laughter, and a canvas wide open for everyone to explore. So, what will you create today? Don't wait, not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support.